Sometimes you see something so traumatic that it hypnotizes you into a trance and you'll never ever be able to forget it. Sometimes that thing is real, and sometimes it's a movie, and sometimes it's something in between. Sarbjit is that something in between.
Guys, there's probably no point in us breaking into the story of Sarbjit. We're all aware of the horrifying acts that took place in his life. Ravi said it at the beginning, on the way back from the cinema, very dark, very twisted, and very disturbing. But if we just start with performance, I think that's the best way to go for this review. When I look at Aishwarya Rai in this role, I think with the different timeline she's playing and her transformation, this is probably the best role that I've ever seen her in.
Yeah, I agree. Her character, has been through, hell. Just from her own personal stuff with having, a stillborn child and all of those things. What Aishwarya Rai had with her character here is just so much meat to draw on that when she took the screen, it was probably the most transformative role that she's ever had. Like, when she started her career, she was the pretty girl, right? And then she tried to become like the serious actress, and in some cases she did okay. But considering what we saw with Jazzbar and what we're seeing here, it's just a different world. It's really good.
It truly is. And that role clearly wouldn't have been complete without the absolutely amazing Randeep Hooda, whose, again, transformation for this role was absolutely brilliant. It truly was. For what he went through physically to capture the performance, Sarbjit, in that role was, it gets you thinking. We've said this a number of times. We now hold him in regards as one of our best Bollywood actors. And this truly proves it.
Oh, there are very few actors that I've seen take a role or take characters so seriously in Bollywood. Like, the amount of weight that he had to lose to look the way he looked, the amount of, everything about him, he looked like he'd actually malnourished himself for 8 years. And it was terrifying. It reminds me of Christian Bale in The Machinist, but this was, he didn't feel like he was acting. And obviously everything from the torture sequences to even there were a lot of shots where it's kind of like long drawn pauses on his face, and though he had narration over the top and things like that, or voiceovers, when he didn't speak you could read his eyes, you could read his face, and you could see that this guy had been through absolute hell. And it's interesting because actually the film is so focused on Aishwarya Rai's character, and actually to an extent some of his surrounding family, wife, his oldest daughter, a little bit. But it was, in a way, it was almost sad that you had to take him off screen to focus on that, because it was probably 70% her and 30% him. But I thought he was amazing. I thought they both were actually very, very, very good.
And this truly wouldn't have been possible as far as I'm concerned. We look at certain directors, but Aman Kumar, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know how you feel about this, but I can't really see anyone really delivering what he managed to capture for Sarbjit all the way through. Me and Ravi, we're super critical when it comes down to films. That's no secret, you guys know this. We do take the piss at times, but we couldn't fault this. We really couldn't, because we were so moved. The last time we were so welling up in the cinema, and gotta be said, man, I was really emotional through this, man. I had to move a few seats away from you because I did not want to show you that I was completely welling up in this film. But what an amazing job he's done when it comes down to directing from the very start middle and the very end, and obviously the choice of music that he obviously selected through this as well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was kind of like tension building, suspense building music, and a little bit was a bit emotionally manipulative in some places. I think he did a really good job. I think that there were choices made in terms of pacing and in terms of there were a couple of sequences where I just thought, okay, this is a little bit forced. We're used to Aishwarya Rai shouting, right? But there were a few sequences where it was like, okay, we need to remind the audience that she's angry and everyone's angry, and it was a little bit forced. But all round, for telling that kind of story, I think he did a really, really good job.
Yeah, we always give credit to our actors, and every now and then on this channel we always point out the directors. We know how difficult it is when sitting on that chair, but equally a lot of kudos must go to the overall team that is involved in this film. I loved it. You clearly did as well. Conversation on the way back, we were actually silent. We didn't really have much to say. And that really shows, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes down to a great film. One that on the way back home, you're just taking it in and you're just awed by it.
I think, there are a lot of films about India versus Pakistan, and some of them are purely kind of fantasy, sort of driven, built to take you on an emotional journey, to make you kind of see the greater good, stuff like Bajrangi Bhaijaan. Then you've got like the really heavy-handed and quite frankly cheap stuff like Phantom. In this, I'll say there was just the right amount of, we understand that there is tension between the two countries, we understand that there is tension between the two people, because you've got religion, you've got culture, you've got all those things. But I think he did a good job of being measured about that. Some of it was a bit heavy-handed with like the news clippings, but it was measured, and I think it was an interesting approach to kind of say, it's cautionary tale, like, this stuff exists, it's real, it happens, this is the worst of what we can be, but we can also be good about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to add on that. My understanding is that this film hasn't been released in Pakistan, and I'm a bit annoyed about that. I think it should have been. I think this is a story that needs to be told, and appreciate it when it comes down to the art of the directing, the storytelling, the performance, all in. Well, dude, I've got nothing more to add. I really enjoyed the film. We don't do a star rating, and we're probably going to stay away from that whole thing, but overall, from my side, it's a thumbs up.
Yeah, everyone should go watch it. If you watch it on DVD, when Aishwarya Rai takes the stage in a few scenes to do some news broadcast, just turn the volume down a little bit, because your speakers might blow.
Alright guys, it's your boy Simon.
Ravi.
Peace out.
Take care.